Now, scholar, it is the time to discuss the Clausewitz's contributions in the strategy in detail. Actually, these have appeared in the shape of the war principles of United States. While discussing these principles, I'll suggest you to also consider these principles as the principles of strategy formulation and principle of strategy under the positioning school. The first is the objective. According to this principle, every military operation must be directed toward a clearly defined, decisive, and attainable objective. Now, the first principle of strategy, according to Clausewitz, is that its objective must be very clear. And he has also argued that the actual objective of any strategy is to outclass the rivals in the battlefield. One way or another, same is the objective of strategies by the organizations in the marketplace. So first quality or the first principle which guides strategy, it is that it has to be objective oriented and clear in its objective. The second principle is the offensive. And you know that the offensive is mean attacking. Offensive action is necessary to achieve decisive results and to maintain freedom of action. It permits the commander to exercise initiative and impose his will upon the enemy. It is a well-known American saying that offense is the best defense. Actually, they have benefited from the principles of Clausewitz, that when you are offensive, mean when you take initiative in the marketplace, it is almost similar to the Sun Tzu's principle of first mover advantage, that if you take initiative, if you become offensive and first attack the enemy rather than waiting the enemy to attack you, you can be better off both in the battlefield and in the marketplace. The third is mass. Mass actually means gathering, concentration of something. The superior combat power must be concentrated at the critical time and place for a decisive purpose. You see that if you go through the history of war by the United States of America, or even before that the United Kingdom, you would find out the reflection of this principle everywhere, that they concentrated at critical times and places for a decisive purpose. Same actually the rule which companies and organizations use in the marketplace. At the critical times and critical places, they concentrate and for a decisive purpose, for a successful attempt and successful result attainment. The fourth one is economy of force. That it literally means that employ your strategy but do not make it too costly that it ultimately spoils your own organization, your own business. You do your strategy, employ your strategy, but keep this in your mind that it should be economical, that it should not cost you too much. So this principle writes that skillful and prudent use of combat power will enable the commander to accomplish the mission with minimum expenditure of resources. And this is always desirable in an effective strategy, that you attain more at the cost of lesser resources. The fifth is maneuver. Then the object of maneuver is to dispose a force in such a manner as to place the enemy at a relative disadvantage. Maneuvering means changing your tactics, changing your strategy, mean playing the ploy in such a way that you simply engage first your enemy and then simply out him class. The same actually companies play in the marketplace. Sixth is unity of command. In strategy, or particularly in the prescriptive schools, all three, design, planning and positioning, it is believed that there should be unity of command. Unity of command means that you should be one authority, and the one authority which gives order and all others who follow the order. In their opinion, if there is no unity of command, there are more than one authorities, this is almost impossible to carry on a strategy successfully. The unity of command obtains unity of effort by the coordinated action of all forces toward a common goal. And in the strategic management literature, we take it as all the departments of an organization should be coordinating well under the unity of command to pursue their strategy. 7 is security. Security is achieved by measures taken to prevent surprise, preserve freedom of action, and deny the enemy information of friendly forces. Actually, security here means that you attack your enemy, you actually try to create trouble for your enemy, but after securing your own position. If you leave loopholes in your own position, there is possibility that the enemy can attack and simply make your strategy ineffective. 8 is surprise. And surprise, remember scholars, is a great tool both in the battlefield and in the marketplace. Because if you can surprise your competitor, surprise your enemy, surprise your rival, you can simply win without having any fight. Remember the Sun Tzu's 1 principle. Surprise results from striking an enemy at a time, place, and in a manner for which he is not prepared. If you remember that in earlier topics, I gave you an example of one of the Pakistan automotive company introducing an SUV, a sports utility vehicle in the range of 2.2 million, which actually surprised all of the other competitors in the market. They were not expecting, because they all were offering SUVs, but in the range of 3 to 4 million rupees. The company, when offered SUV in the range of 2.2 million, it simply surprised the enemies and it brought great success for that company. The last one is principle is simplicity. If you remember that both in design and planning schools, we emphasized that the strategies have to be simple because they could be understandable for those who are to implement. Because predominantly in the prescriptive schools, the strategy making process is separate and a strategy implementation process is separate. Direct, simple plans and clear, concise orders minimize misunderstanding and confusion. If other factors are equal, the simplest plan is preferred. You see that the simplicity is also recommended by the war principles of United States of America under the influence of Clausewitz, and this is also recommended for the organizations. So far, if I just take a quick review in the positioning school, we have just talked about that the positioning school has actually got its main inspiration from the war literature and the war strategies. I have presented before you the 2 main contributors to the war or military strategies, and you must have noticed that how similar are the war strategy with the strategies employed by the business firms to compete in the marketplace. So there is a great lesson. And also remember that in the war or in the battlefield, the main advantage rests with your position. And this is what the argument of the positioning school under IO perspective, industrial organizational perspective, that this is your position which really matters not only in the battlefield but also in the marketplace. Thank you very much. Stay blessed.